Hey, it's Dr. Ko here from Reset Ketamine, and I wanted to share with you some of the things I've been learning about sleep. So, sleep is really the foundation of our health. And someone can be doing everything else, but if they're not getting really good quality sleep, that can still have a huge impact. So, again, sleep is really crucial. And for me personally, I experienced this when I was working in the emergency department. And there were times when I was doing night shifts working from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then a few days later, I would do a morning shift from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And my circadian rhythm was completely off. So I did a deep dive into sleep because it was really important. And I know that when I don't get enough sleep, I'm not the best version of myself. So I wanted to share with you today 10 tips that I personally use and think about regarding sleep. Number one, if you are a late sleeper and you have a hard time getting up, one of the things that you can do is have early sun exposure first thing in the morning. So by doing that, you're giving your brain a message that this is the time to wake up. So let's say that, when I was used to going to bed at 3 a.m. because I was doing a night shift and I couldn't fall asleep. Well, instead of doing it rapidly where I'm trying to force myself to go to bed at 10 p.m., I would do it gradually by exposing myself to the sun first thing in the morning. So I'd literally just step outside, look at the sun, with my eyes closed, of course, to protect my eyeballs and the retina. But having that sun exposure first thing in the morning, it's going to go into my retina, it's going to get into my brain, it's going to get into the pineal gland and send a message to my body that this is the time to wake up. Number two, you also want to watch the sunset. One of the fascinating things is that when we're literally seeing the sunset over the horizon, that also sends another cue to our brains that this is the time to go to bed. Now, if you imagine 50,000, 100,000 years ago, we didn't have our lights and electricity and our phones and TVs. So we would typically wake up with the sun and go to bed around sunset or a little bit after with, a campfire. So you really want to leverage the power of the sun by watching not only, seeing the sun the first thing in the morning when you wake up, as well as seeing the sunset, because those are going to send these powerful autonomic signals to your brain to know how to reset that circadian rhythm. Number three, I love coffee, but it can also impact my sleep tremendously. So one of the things that I do is if I want to go to bed, let's say at 10 p.m., then I want to give myself a 12-hour break between caffeine as a stimulant because it's going to be in my body for quite some time. So the latest time that I'll drink coffee is 10 a.m., right? Because I want to give myself a break from caffeine for about 12 hours. Caffeine is really powerful stimulant and it can be long lasting. One of the nice options that I've been doing recently is switching to decaffeinated coffee because I still get a lot of those antioxidants and the health benefits of coffee minus the caffeine. Number four is turning down the lights, in particular the overhead lights. So when we see the overhead lights, that's almost like a signal that the sun is above our head. And so now we're getting light from above and it's going to keep us awake, right? So what you want to do is dim those lights. And another cool hack would be even to put lights around ground level. 100,000 years ago, we would have a campfire. That's how we would see, right? And if you want it to be on the ground, and that way it's also sending another message, hey, this is a campfire. It's not coming from the sun, it's from below. It's time to go to bed to wind down. Number five is to avoid the TV, avoid screens, your iPads, your iPhones, probably 3 to 4 hours before going to bed. When we get exposure to any bright light source, it's going to start stimulating the brain to start thinking, start doing, start, the day. And it's kind of sending an artificial message to our bodies that it's time to wake up. So this can be challenging because I know, a lot of us, we're on our phones late at night. We're checking email, we're checking Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it might be, or watching a YouTube video. But when you're doing that in the evening, that's going to be sending a message to your body that it's actually time to wake up. So taking a break from the phone, charging it in the other room, letting it sit there, maybe doing something else, reading a book, listening to music, but anything to avoid that bright light exposure prior to going to bed. Number six is you really want to use the bed for only two functions, the two S's, sleeping and sex. Sometimes when we're in our bed doing other activities, whether it's reading a book or checking our phone, that's also another signal. You're going to start noticing that, hey, when I'm in bed, I'm supposed to be doing stuff. I'm supposed to be, checking email or laptops or watching TV. But that can also lead to a harder time falling asleep because now your body has associated being in bed with doing other activities. So really reserve the bed for only those two S's that are also very important. Number 8 is to develop the habit of waking up and going to bed at the same time. Our bodies are very dependent upon habits, and you can leverage that by regularly going to bed at the same time, regularly waking up at the same time. And so your body will know, hey, it's 10 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock, it's midnight, it's time for me to go to bed. Now, one of the other things to note are there's people who are early birds and there's people who are late night owls. So use that to your advantage. So if you're someone like me who likes to stay up later at night, well, I'm not going to force myself to go to bed at 9 p.m., right? That's going to be really hard. But I can still go to bed at maybe 11 p.m., right? That's still doable. And so knowing yourself and whether you're someone who just naturally, falls asleep early or naturally falls asleep late, leverage that, know yourself. And you don't have to be extreme about it. So if, going to bed at 2 or 3 a.m., just gradually start shifting that, right? So it's a reasonable time. Your reasonable bedtime might be midnight. And that might be okay because you're someone who just likes to stay up late, gets more energy. So be aware of yourself. But regardless of whether you're an early bird or a late night person, still keep that same schedule of waking up and going to bed at the same time. Number 9, it's really important to get physical activity anytime, sometime throughout the day. When we physically exert ourselves, that allows our body to release some tension. It allows us to get kind of that excess energy out. So it's really important to engage in some sort of physical activity. And it might just be something simple like going for a walk around the neighborhood, doing a little yoga, but something so you can release this energy. I think about my dogs, where if I don't walk them on a regular basis, they're kind of antsy and have more energy. But after they've gone for a walk, they're cool, they're chill, they're laying down, they're more mellow. So we're also mammals, and we have evolved to walk regularly and to physically exert ourselves. A lot of times we're sitting in front of a computer, sitting on the couch, but it's really important to move the body, which is also going to help tremendously with sleep. Lastly, number 10, taking a deep breath. Actually taking 10 deep breaths, nice and slow inhalations and longer exhalations. So our breath can be a really powerful tool. It's one of the things that are both within our conscious control as well as our unconscious control. Meaning if I'm not thinking about breathing, my body's just going to do it for me naturally. Well, you can also control it. And when we're doing these nice, deep, slow inhalations and expirations, that's almost giving your body a message, in particular the parasympathetic system, that it can be calm, it can be relaxed. So what I do is when I lay into bed, I will literally take 10 nice, deep, slow breaths in and out, and that seems to trigger in my body like a relaxation response. So you can use the power of your breath to help you fall asleep. And by the way, although I am a physician, I am not your physician. So what that means is to consult with your doctor for any additional guidance, for their tips, for any prescriptions you may need from them. Really know your body and trust your intuition on which of these tips that you may take to support your health. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'll catch you on the next video.